Connor.
Patrick, hi! I'm so
are you?
excited to talk about video games. I mean,
Yes.
what are we talking about, right? In this charade?
Yeah, because you don't know. That's right. I haven't told you yet. We haven't
I
planned
have
this.
no idea what's going on.
No, but you famously, maybe not famously, I don't know. Famously to me, mostly play games for I'd say 2 reasons. Number 1 is character creation. Number 2, am I wrong?
It's an exaggeration, but I do like those things. And number 2 is, I feel like you're going to say photo mode.
Photo mode. That's right.
That's right. Listen, I love character customization and I love photo mode. And I spend a lot of time in them in games.
That's right.
The only reason I play, I'm actually a 3-dimensional, very thorough and nuanced person.
Well, those are only 2 dimensions though. So you'll have to prove that, I guess, in some way. But today I want to talk about photo mode. We don't have time to waste on character creation. Ghost of Tsushima is, for some reason, this photo mode is like blown up everywhere. And I guess I should say I don't spend any time in photo mode. Most games I won't even open the photo mode unless it's like Spider-Man where you have to. There's like missions that require you to take pictures and stuff. And you're kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum where you will sink a lot of time into photo mode. Right?
Yeah, I love it. You know, the fun of doing photos in a game is setting the scene up. So like, if you can get the sticks clicked at just the right moment where things are a little crazy, I'll stay in it for 40 minutes taking different shots.
Yeah. What do you do with them?
Send them to any babes I'm chatting up.
Oh, nice. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I like photo mode now. You talked me into it.
No, I mean, anything I would do with like, because I've just gotten into like regular photography and it feels like a lot of the same ways.
That's a good segue because Ghost of Tsushima has like the most probably complex, detailed photo mode that I've ever seen. Is that
It's
accurate?
Up there. I would say a lot of it is kind of more like fun, like gimmick stuff, which is not to say that, I don't mean that in a disparaging way, because like I think gimmicks can be good, but it's very much like you're having fun inside the app itself. The photo mode is part of the fun. It's not just about getting to the final result, because it gives you a bunch of tools to play around with. And like, there are people that can make it sing. You know, you can add all the leaves falling in, and you can have the background like grass and trees moving, and you can add music, and like
You can
it's
change
all really
the wind
fun,
direction.
Cool. You can change the well, that I think is neat, because you can make it really gusty. But
Yeah.
like, there are some things where it's like, this is not to like, because there are some games where it gives you tools where like you could just make a cool shot and throw it out. A lot of games are like, here's some goofy frames and like a Naughty Dog sticker you can put over the camera lens, and like fisheye and Instagram filters. And it's just like, if I wanted to add that stuff for most of it, I could do it on my phone afterwards. So I don't really mess with that. But I mean, Ghost of Tsushima has different tools than I've seen before, really. The time of day thing is great.
That's
they introduced,
awesome,
I think that was in Horizon Zero Dawn first, which I think has a better photo mode and maybe more interesting subjects to take out of it. But like, that's also Sony first party. I mean, Sony's from like God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us. Surely Days Gone has something. Did not play
No
it,
one knows.
but
No one knows.
No one knows. And Sucker Punch themselves have a good history of photo modes. I mean, at the beginning of the generation, Infamous Second Son had a really great photo mode, and you could really stylize it. But like, they did a DLC, which I think was Infamous First Light, with a character who has neon powers. I mean, like, don't think too hard about it, because they get really goofy with the mutations and superpowers, because it looks really awesome, because your character trails this light behind her hands. For me, photo mode is a really fun way to experience touches that I maybe would have missed from developers, like the way a character moves or the way an expression translates from gameplay, and the way you interact with other characters. And if you can set it right, you know, we've entered a kind of a period of games where like they can look good just as compositions, not just look good for a game, but it can look good in a snapshot, and it gives you a really good slice of everything. And my favorite photo modes are the one that let you like free roam and look around with the camera, and it really lets you appreciate the environment in different ways that you wouldn't have before.
I wanted to though, because like, I mean, it's essentially a full camera array of settings that you have in this, where it's like
well, although this is the first game that I've played that fully has the baked in black and white mode. I mean, there's been games that have played, like Mad World had a black and white, I think, with like red in it.
Why do you think this is so important to developers? Because it seems like this is a lot of work to make something like this. I don't know, I'm not a game dev, but like, it seems like a lot of work to put into something that doesn't really affect the gameplay in any way? I mean, is it just like they want people to be posting stuff, or is
I think that's exactly it. I think if you look at the PS4, which is where I've taken most in-game photos, if you look at the PS4 from top to bottom, it has a share button on the controller, which was
that's true.
completely new to that console. PlayStation's always been about sharing, and we've seen what happens when content is made nowadays that is like sharing agnostic, like Quibi. Yeah. And so I think that the Sony first party studios, I don't know if it was a top-down thing or if somebody just kind of all agreed that it's a cool thing. Maybe it's something developers really enjoy. I could see how they would, because it's really a great way to enjoy the art. And like I said, the Spider-Man one was great. Uncharted 4 has a beautiful photo mode. Like Naughty Dog does a great job of it. Even though The Last of Us 2 made, I think, a bit of a misstep in the camera orbits the playable character instead of allowing you to kind of look around.
Like free camera.
A lot of times, just like regular photography, the person in front of you isn't always the most interesting subject. But unlike regular photography, if you see something in the background, you can just in that moment like, oh, I'm gonna look at this now. Yeah. And Last of Us 2, it was really like, I'd really like to look over here, but you're not helping me, Ellie.
I have a feeling it's like a requirement for Sony games or something, Sony exclusives, because, or at least it is.
I could see that.
At least it is now, because there are Sony games that don't have it, now that I'm thinking about it. But like, or something that's very heavily encouraged, similar to how every first-party Sony game uses the touchpad in some way, and no third-party game uses it.
No,
you know?
It's just a big button, which is what it's great for. But it's definitely like a, hey, have you instituted our swipe yet?
Yeah.
And there's people that'll get really into it. The photo mode kind of goes with the whole like accessibility dream of the console. Like you get it all in a box, because there are people that will mod the out of stuff and force a free roam camera and stuff on PC. And
there's like entire YouTube channels that are just purely people breaking games to get the camera.
I think that's why Ghost of Tsushima has been so like heralded and talked about, is that it is so accessible. You just tap on the D-pad and it's got everything there, and it's really fun to play around with. Like it's you can fully change the stuff. So like I get why they did it, and I can't speak to how much work it took, but I'd be willing to bet that the payoff has far and away justified whatever.
Well, I've never seen Twitter go off about a photo mode before this. that I can think of. I mean, you're bigger on photo mode Twitter than me, obviously.
Right, yeah. I'm trailing the just following the trends, seeing what people are talking about photo mode wise.
Yeah, you have notifications on for hashtag photo mode.
That's right, right. Yeah, I'm following the hashtags on Instagram and Twitter, on Friendster and everything. Of course. I think a lot of it, the reason it's being talked about this way with Ghost of Tsushima isn't inherent to the photo mode itself. I think it's a lot about the visual style of the game. I mean, like the samurai, the Kurosawa, the like feudal Japan. It's such a striking imagery that I feel like it's captured people in a way that like it is, cinematic is such a vague and all-encompassing word in gaming, but it is cinematic. And so The Last of Us 2 is set in Seattle and it's rainy and grungy and beautiful, but it's also not the same thing. And Spider-Man's set in Manhattan, and God of War, that one's like a cool, interesting thing, but it doesn't seem to carry the same visual identity that a samurai like still does. Yeah, because like the cinematic thing obviously gets thrown around a bunch. Like it's sort of this weird, because games still want to be movies, kind of, in a lot of ways. Yes. It's a look that is very specific to a certain genre of movies. So when you get that like sunset golden hour thing in a photo mode or whatever, and you position it behind, you just see like the silhouette of a guy holding a katana or whatever. Yeah, it's like, so cool. And then you put the bars on, you can put the cinema bars on it. It's like, oh, this is like an immediately recognizable image. Yes, exactly. And you can even put the stamp of the kanji or whatever. Yeah, and it's like, oh, this looks like the opening to a movie or something. Yeah, it does. It's cool as hell. You get it so like CinemaScope and that's awesome. Yeah. Granted, it has some shortcomings. Like the holes kind of poke through. Like you can't activate it if you're holding the bow out, which would make for some really cool shots. Also, the sword, if you capture it like as the sword is in an enemy or something,
you realize
It's just in them.
it's just sort of in the character model. There's no like cut or anything, which I mean, I guess there was decapitation, I think, in some trailers at one point.
There was limb dismemberment, I think, in a demo that didn't make it in. I think it's just like when you're playing the game. See, this is the thing about photo mode. You see things you normally wouldn't. Because when you're playing a game, it all happens so quickly that you're not really thinking about that. When you equip the bow, it's like a 1 frame later, it's in your hand kind of thing.
Right.
You don't like take it out and knock an arrow. It's just like blink. You move your arms, but the bow just appears there. And that's like, we've been spoiled certainly by other Sony first party games. And those are the same kinds of like little blind spots and like tiny little nitpicky things that you could point out with the photo mode just as much with the gameplay. That's good. I'm gonna spend more time in it, certainly. I have mixed feelings about the game, but I can agree that the photo mode is very well done. It gets a lot right for me.
It's so well done that it feels like it should be more. I feel like when I get everything just right, I'm like, oh, wait, this is the end product. This isn't like the start of something. I just finished this thing I was
just
doing.
What you have. Also, I do wish that there was a "Are you sure you want to exit photo mode?" Because there have been times where I'm like the animation and I've perfectly set up a shot and I'm like, oh, I want the animation to stop playing so I can go back to fix one thing. And I hit the circle button, I can hit back, and it's just like, you're out of photo mode. Just as easily as you get into it, it goes away and you lose everything. And there's kind of like well, that's life. But I mean, that, I don't know, maybe we could patch that.
What is your dream of a photo mode? Like, what is the absolute
What's my dream
ideal?
Of a photo mode? I mean, basically just
you're in heaven, surrounded by hunks. This is what heaven looks like.
Oh my!
This is for everyone. This is for everybody. This is what heaven is.
This is just what heaven looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, and they carry you. Got hunks that carry you around like pallbearers, and God comes to you and says,
"Hey Connor, it's me, God. I'm cooking up a new photo mode, and I would love your input."
I guess if I had to boil it down to 3 things, it's like pretty standard camera settings. Not like too complicated, but pretty standard phone camera settings. 2, free roaming camera so I can go around and look at things. It would be awesome if it was untethered, if I could just like pause the game in photo mode and then just go and look at anything.
Yeah.
And I think 3, a way to meaningfully impact the environment. Now, that doesn't mean like customization tools. Like I don't need dreams. Like I don't need to be able to like move, because that kind of not defeats the purpose, but kind of reshapes what you're taking pictures of, which is not what I want. But the time of day slider, the weather changer, the wind speed is whatever. But you know, in that vein, and also the ability to make certain characters disappear, like The Last of Us, like Naughty Dog has always done that really well. Like, do you just want allies? Do you just want the main character? Do you just want enemies? Do you want no characters? Do you just want to do landscape photography? But basically, those hoisted by hunks in the cloudy, if I've ascended, that's
oiled.
What I'm asking
They're
God
oiled
for.
too.
Or am I wearing?
It's heaven, so it's up to you.
Some rivets on them.
Yeah, you have some Daisy Dukes on, yeah.
Yeah.
You are still oiled head to toe.
Yeah, I'm oiled, but like covered in denim. Also, a better way to share files from the console to like the cloud maybe would be great. Because Xbox actually has a great thing where if you take a screenshot on the Xbox, it'll appear in your app. Maybe one of these days I can get you to use photo mode.
I used photo mode in Ghost of Tsushima a little bit. I'll pop in there. Granted, I was capturing footage for this video.
Right.
But, well, you'll have to, to see the footage, you'll have to watch the video.
You'll have to watch the video. Like these people just have.
Should I take the Connor spot, or Alana, do you want to do that?
No, you take the Connor spot. I could never.
Hey, everyone.
God, Connor is editing this, so
there you go.
They're gonna hear your great impression.
Hey everybody, welcome to Inside Gaming Daily for Tuesday. We've got reviews for one of the last big exclusive